Good morning, well, almost afternoon, to talk about how prices have gone up at the veterinarians. Nani, go lay down. I just had Eli in for his 3-year rabies, since now he's 14 months old. He just had to have it renewed. Plus, this is his rabies tag. Sorry, I sliced my finger really bad. It's still having a major time healing. Nani, go play. He also got his Simparico, which is a month of heartworm, all parasites such as fleas, ticks, hookworm, roundworm, whipworm. It takes care of any parasite. So he got that, plus his rabies shot, his heartworm test for the year, and, all his vet visit, his... Nani, go. Takes care of everything for his yearly. And that come to $220.24. And yes, my fingers look gross because I was planting seedlings to get ready for spring. So, please ignore that. I've got to change my bandage too. So, I'm going to go in and do my scrubbing on my hands and change my bandage. I'm just taking a rest at the table until I do that and show this. See, everybody picks on my nails every so often, but, it's because I'm doing things like, yard work and flower potting or drawing in ink and stuff. Anyhow, all paid for. That's just for the dog. That was done on Wednesday of last week. And then on Friday, the kitties were neutered and got their rabies shots. And for that, just for those two things alone, is $1,000 for 2 kittens. Now, I say kittens, but their ages, one is younger than the other, and we don't know their exact dates. So they're marked down as August kittens, because we know they were at least born by August. One was from a hoarding situation, and the other was being tortured on the street by 2 young boys when it was discovered and taken away from them. So we know we're keeping them. We were fostering them at first, going to raise them and send them to new homes when they were ready, but we decided to keep them, and one belongs to my husband and one to my son. So they have been neutered, they have all their shots, and now they have their permanent rabies shot. And that was $1,000 to get this. So they have all their shots and everything they need, and since we've gotten them, they've had all their other shots, which came to $275 for each kitten, plus they had ear mites and all of that. So each kitten was $275 for their first visits and shots and all of that earlier, on top of the $1,000 on Friday. So all total, just over $1,500 to get them set. And, this is just for Eli's 14-month-old, just for this year. He already had his other shots. They're not due up again. I do the titer system. I don't over-vaccinate on the regular vaccines. He's had all of his rounds of vaccines. I do what the law requires for the rabies, but for his other vaccines, he will then have titer tests done so that he's not over-vaccinated, because that kills the immune system. So that is how I do things. It is not because I do not want to pay, because titer tests are actually more expensive than just giving the vaccines. So here you go. Everybody's vaccinated and done. My vet is still a private practice veterinarian. He has not sold out to a corporation. So I can't imagine. Vets do not have to tell you if they have sold out to a corporation. They do not. They can look like they are still a private veterinarian, but they could be a corporation veterinarian. And they do not have to be selling Iams and Hills in their office to be owned by a corporation that is owned by Iams and Hills, which is Mars' parent corporation that owns places like Banfield and many other veterinarian clinics. They're buying up veterinarians all across the country, and they require them to prescribe the foods that they sell. They still make their money off of it because they manufacture the foods. It's not because they sell it in their office. It's because they manufacture the food. So it doesn't matter where it is sold. It is because they manufacture it. So I don't understand why people can't understand that concept as to why their veterinarians want you to buy that food. You can buy a food that follows the guidelines of an animal's stomach without buying those two foods. Those two foods are terrible ingredients. The reasons why they push those foods is because Mars is an agricultural company that also owns agricultural grain companies. Dogs don't eat grain. They don't eat corn. And those two foods are corn-based foods. And they are made at the plants, at the grain fields, where Mars also owns the grain fields. They own the grain storage yards. They own the manufacturing places that make the foods. They also own the candy companies and stuff like M&M's and all those places. And they own the places that manufacture the foods of those two companies. It's all a business conglomerate, not dog nutrition. How do I know all of this? Because I've done the research and I am a certified dog nutritionist. I research everything for my dog's health. I'm also a vet technician, certified. Yes, certified dog vet technician. I don't work as one. I'm handicapped. I worked as a dog vet technician. I worked as a large animal vet technician years ago when I worked in the horse barns. So just because I don't go around waving my certificates, people, you don't know what I have, hold, or do hold, or what I've learned or haven't learned. So don't assume, because the first three letters are ASS. Don't make an ass out of me and out of you. So yeah, my dogs all get their care when they need it, absolutely, and on top of it. And I don't own animals that I can't afford. Nobody should. And I absolutely can afford my animals. I can also afford animals that I don't own because I do regularly take in animals, and I take care of other people's animals, and I also adopt out the animals after I'm done rescuing them for the money that I put into them. Case in point, these 2 kittens that I took in on my dime, but we decided to keep them. I have isolation kennels here on the property that I own that are heated and AC'd. I routinely have animals that I do not plan to keep that get vet care and top nutrition, that are retrained and brought to health and are given out to homes and rehomed. So, people, just because you don't do this in your life does not mean that this is not the life that somebody else does. It does not mean that people don't do these things for animals. Just because you don't know about these things, or you haven't learned about these things, or that you don't know this exists, does not mean it does not exist. People need to start educating themselves when they hear something before they open their mouths. Yes, vet care is very expensive. So is health care. But there are people who step forward and do these things, and without people giving them money, and without them asking people for money, because they love animals. And animals are important to them. And they're not always looking for the cheap side or the cheap way to do it, or however it's termed. There are people that do things the right way, that don't diagnose their own animals, that actually take them to the vet for diagnosis. I would never in a million years diagnose an animal and treat it myself. I didn't go to school to do a vet's job. I went to be a vet tech, and I take my animals to the vet, even though I have medical training. But you know what? I don't own all the equipment that a vet staff has to properly diagnose my animals. So I take my dogs to the vet. I have a great working relationship with my vet. And my vet values my input. My vet values me. And we have an excellent relationship. I have no problem going into my vet, telling them what's going on, and seeking my vet's help. I don't demand from my vet, just like I don't demand from my doctors. I go into my doctors, I tell them what's going on, and I ask my doctors. I don't demand from my doctors. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a veterinarian. I don't have delusions of grandeur. And I think I'm getting off topic. So I'm leaving it there, and I'm going to go make myself some lunch, get cleaned up, and then make myself some lunch and feed my doggies. Hey guys, y'all hungry? Here they come racing. They're hungry. Bye.